Good morning.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Uzin. Sorry, I almost said Mr. Azan. We are a few minutes away from the time to start, to commence.
Yeah. All right. So sorry if my camera is not on. My network is really where I am. The network coverage is really poor, and switching on my video might slow down a bit. So that's why.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for understanding.
Okay, we have 3 minutes. We are 3 minutes away from the time to start the program. I just feel like maybe we should just exercise some little patience for others to join. And once it is 12, we'll definitely commence. So, welcome to everyone who has joined already. To our mentors who are here already, and to the mentees who are here. I welcome all of you all to week 4 of the JIIPCC Artificial and Technology Mentorship and Internship Program. Okay. Okay, it's almost 12. I think we are good to go. So my name is Daniel Akinwale, and I'll be moderating today's session. I'm a lawyer, and also, if I call myself, a trainee too, in JIIPCC. So I'm welcoming all of us to week 4 of this mentorship session. So without further ado, I just want to ask how has been our week? We all know Nigeria is tough and everything. So how has been our week? I hope the week has been stressless. Let me put it that way. Because someone was telling me recently that Nigeria is stressful. And whenever you see the news in Nigeria, it gives you a headache. And I hope we're not planning to Japan. That has been the week. I hope the week has been awesome. Okay, I can see Mr. Ozin smiling. So I don't know if anyone wants to share how their week has been. We can share how the week has been. For me, I think I've had I wouldn't call it a mixed week. It's a bit of having stress here and there, moving from one court to another, and also trying to balance it. Trying to further my knowledge in intellectual property. So it has not been easy, but we bless God. So I don't know if anyone wants to share how the week has been. We can share how the week has been. I don't know. So please, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know if anyone wants to just share how the week has been. I mean, perhaps maybe someone had a jackpot or hit a jackpot, and the person wants to show us the way. Like Wike has said, Wike said we should follow Uno Road. So maybe the person knows the road and wants to show us the road, paved with gold and then golden coins. We'll be very, very excited to learn. Okay, I think Goodness is unmuted or somebody. Sorry. I don't know. Okay. So no one will share with us. I'll just... Okay, let me call Hussein. I think Mr. Hussein is, should I call, is the administrator of the mentorship program. Oh, I think it's 1,000. Please, are you still with us? Okay.
I'm still with you.
Okay, please. Maybe you should share with us. You can start by sharing with us how your week has been.
How my week has been?
Or you've been busy preparing for the get together, the party that is 2 months away from now. Can you hear me?
Oh, so we are seeking our mentor, to register, come with their friends, and you can also come with their friends of friends, like that. So I think I'm showing on two cameras.
Yeah, you're showing on two cameras actually.
Okay, let me use this one. So my week has been good. I thank God. It's stressful, though I can't say it's not stressful, but what's the man go do now? The popular Nigerian slang. Just have to keep pushing. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank God you're alive today. It's Friday today, so I'm happy because I'll be going to the mosque. And I'll see a lot of people in the mosque today. So yeah. And I will be praying for everybody.
Please do.
So yeah.
We all need the prayer. Please do. Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Friday to relax and everything. So please do pray for us. We all need a prayer. I mean, and I also pray for the country too, as we are approaching the 2023 election, that we have the best and to take this country forward. Okay, I wouldn't know if there's anyone else who wants to share with us how the week has been. It's just for us to bond and also know each other better. And I don't know if there's anyone else who is as excited as Hussein to go to the mosque today to pray for us. Because it's very soon. I mean, before you go to please, I'm going to send you my prayer request.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, without further ado, I'll just go ahead to introduce the program. I'll go ahead to introduce the program. The JIIPCC Mentorship Program. Well, of course, the JIIPCC Mentorship Program, this particular one has to do with artificial intelligence and technology. Hey, please,
I'm trying to share the screen.
Okay, please, I'm waiting for you to share the screen. Okay. This is why we are waiting, Mr. Hussein to help us with the screen grab. Okay, maybe I should just call any of the mentee. So please, if you're a mentee here, you have the floor within just some seconds to just tell us about your week. You can never fail. Maybe while you're sharing your week, you have a particular challenge. You have mentors here who can, intellectual challenge, who are capable, more than capable to address them. So is any mentee willing to share with us how the week has been? Okay. None? Okay, I'll proceed to read. Okay, there's one. Okay, Busola, please, you are free. Unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself. You have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My week has been very, very hectic. I've had to close very late at work this week, but super so good. I'm fine. I'm super stressed. Like, it's a stressful week for me this week, but all is still good. I'm moving on God.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm muted. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Busola. Yeah, thank you. And of course, we all are hoping on God. And I'm sure it will get better and better. So the JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program is a quarterly program for students and young professionals across Africa. For me, basically for those who are interested in intellectual property and other ancillary programs that comes with it. Mentees are afforded, through this program, mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. I will just pause here and give an example of this. I was a mentee here. Okay, I should have shared this past because it happened this week. And through this mentorship program, I met one of the mentors, Mr. Max Gombe. With that, we were able to invite him to our law firm to give us workshop on new areas of law, and particularly, basically what we're even doing here in JIIPCC. So these are part of the benefit of JIIPCC. You're able to network, mentees, mentors, we're able to network among ourselves to develop ourselves, our careers, and our lives. This program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Africa and around the world. Of course, you can watch videos by searching for JIIPCC on YouTube and Facebook, hashtag JIIPCC-MIP. Now, I would go to the objectives of the program. First, to provide easy access to quality professional guidance, training, and resource materials for students and young professionals in Africa. So we're encouraging students and young professionals, young lawyers in Africa, because this is the 21st century. And 21st century requires 21st cutting edge skills so that we will stand out and not be left behind. Two, to facilitate dialogue and network among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders. Three, to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation. And finally, to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placements for the mentees. So please, we're encouraging everyone. We're encouraging us to also, as mentees, as beneficiaries of the program, to tell others about this program, what they can benefit. It's about preparing them for the future. I'll proceed to, now we have some special announcements from the program. We have some very special announcements. First, the registration for the Quarter 1 2023 JIIPCC mentorship session is ongoing. So please let us spread the news, the gospel. I call it gospel, the JIIPCC gospel. It's a good news. Let's spread it around, tell our friends, tell people we know that are willing and ready to learn, who want to add more knowledge to register. And it's ongoing, and I'm sure there are limited slots. So they should take full advantage of this. Also, there's a 30 minutes of private mentorship with mentors available. Please take full advantage of that. Of course, there are questions you might not be able to ask due to paucity of time in a particular session. But now there's an available opportunity for mentees to meet mentors, your preferred mentor, to ask certain questions that you might not be able to ask, maybe because you're shy, or maybe because there is lack of time, and due to the lot of programs that are for that day, you might not be able to ask for, and due to the fact that you might also need in-depth explanation. But with this 30 minutes private mentorship with mentors available, you can use the opportunity to ask any question to even further bond or further network with your mentors, and there are a lot of knowledge, information that you might gain from taking access and taking full advantage of this um, opportunity. Also, please, we encourage everyone to put on their videos. We need to see ourselves. Please, mentees, particularly mentees, please, if you're a mentee, put on your video. Please, you can never tell. You might meet someone, or a mentor might meet you and might say, okay, this is Busola. And then because he doesn't know your face or doesn't know, you might not be able to recall. You might walk up to the mentor and say, please, I was in JIIPCC, but because the mentor did not see your face, you might not be able to recollect you. But if your video is on and the mentor is seeing you, you might meet the mentor, and then the fact that he has seen you somewhere, will be able to easily recollect that he has met you somewhere. So please, we encourage you to always put on your video. Look at these beautiful faces, handsome faces. Don't hide them away, please, so that we would. So please put on your video. Also, please, we would also appeal to us to ensure that our names on our Zoom are carrying our names, your full names, particularly your full names. This I would love to call it. I would love to call this an official, unofficial setting, because, for instance, let me give an instance. My full name is Danny Akinwale. Let's imagine I'm putting my Zoom is with Danny, and then maybe I'm applying for something, and then a mentor sees it. Maybe Mr. Graber Udo sees it, because he knows me as Danny. He might not be able to recollect that I am Danny Akinwale. That Danny is the same person as Danny Akinwale. So please, we know that in this shall I call it Gen Z generation, we love abbreviating things, but it's still good for us to put on to have our full names, because there are a lot of benefits that comes with it. It has its own cons, let me put it that way. It has its own pros, rather. It has its own advantage. So please, we encourage you to always put on your full names, particularly the mentees, please. You can also you can take example from our mentors. Let's take a cue from our mentors. I think all of them are having their full names on their Zoom, and it tells you that there's a purpose, there's a reason why you should have your full names as a mentee. It helps. So thank you so much. Furthermore, please, yeah, the JIIPCC end of year party is ongoing. The registration is ongoing. I think it's for 10th. Yes, as a mentee, even our mentors too, if you are within Lagos and Abuja, both registrations are ongoing for both residents. Please, let's take advantage of it and let us register, please. Let us register, let us register, let us register. It's just, I don't want to call it a small money, but I'm sure it's pocket money for many. Please let us register it. So that on that day we can meet ourselves physically and bond and have fun, network, discuss, and what have you, and to wind down the year. Finally, the week 8 has been slated for awareness projects. We'll encourage everyone to start working towards it. It's an awareness project for JIIPCC. Please, we encourage you to start working towards it. I believe those are our announcements for today. So we encourage us to please take for the mentees particularly, to please let us try and comply with all the announcements. Particularly, let us also try and tell our friends. It's not good. Someone says when you are taking from a well of water, you also try and introduce others to that well so that they can also live. So please let's tell others about the ongoing registration session for the Q1 2023. All right. I will proceed to read the profile of our mentors. Mr. Ozen, please, can you put on the screen? Can you put on the mentor's profile on the screen? Please, are you with us, Mr. Ozen? Okay, thank you. Please, can you help us, please, display the mentor's profile? Okay, for our first mentor is Mr. Bode Akimodu. Bode Akimodu is the co-founder and CTO at Robotics. He's an expert. He has expertise in building hardware prototyping development, management, and mass manufacturing of robotics and automated systems. You are welcome, Mr. Bode. We are so glad to have you in our midst to learn from you. Our next mentor is Mr. Gabriel Udo. Mr. Gabriel Udo is a research fellow and doctoral candidate at the Faculty of Law. Pardon me, I may not be able to pronounce this university, Frankfurt, Germany, and recently won, I still not able to pronounce the award, so funded position under the VIP fellowship program for the research projects. I don't know if Mr. Udo will help us with the pronunciation. I don't know, because I'm sure I'll bite my tongue pronouncing it. So sorry.
Usually pronunciations. For the second one, you can just use that. It's a popular DAAD.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone knows that, of course.
Oh, okay, maybe DA, funded position under the VIP fellowship program for the research projects, intelligent weaponry, pardon me, laws and ethics. His research specialties are centered mostly on artificial intelligence and law weapons technology, smart city technologies, and international humanitarian laws, robotics, autonomous currently. Gabriel is a Beyond Fellow in the Ethics Group of the Observation International AI Future Lab on Artificial Intelligence for Earth's Tennis, something Munich. I'm so sorry about my pronunciation. He holds a master's degree in international law, several and machine learning, Python certifications in artificial intelligence, program for data analysis, UAVs, and small robotics. He has several publications in both local and international journals. Gabriel, having presented papers in India, Sweden, Austria, and others in these research areas. At leisure, Gabriel plays the piano, chess, develops programs with Python, and listens to music. Mr. Gabriel, you're welcome. And my apologies for the mix-up in my pronunciation. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I don't really think it's your pronunciation. I think there's a little mix-up on the write-up. Maybe it was passed on another word reader or something. So but it's okay. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Okay, our third mentor is So we have Mr. Gabriel. Can you help us with the display of the third mentor's profile? As goodness, Ms. Guru, please.
His profile is not available, so you can just read the profile I sent you.
Okay, I'm trying to. Sorry, I don't have that. Sorry, please, can you resend it to me? I don't have that, please.
Yeah, I'll send it. I'm sending it to you on the chat box.
Okay, thank you. Please send it to just can you send it in the chat box. Okay. Please, while we're waiting for the profile of our third mentor, please, I will encourage the groups to get their presentation ready, and you have just 8 minutes each. 8 minutes each. Okay, we have Guru Goodness is a software engineer. Guru Goodness is a software engineer with Retina AI. Okay, please, you're welcome. Guru Goodness, please, you're welcome. We are glad to have you in our also to learn from you on robotics and oversight. Thank you so much for coming. So please, you have the groups. I'll encourage us. You have just 8 minutes each. 8 minutes each for your presentation. The first group, please, you have the floor to make your presentation. Just 8 minutes. Kindly put on, and please, we would love to have the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
I think the presenter for group 1 is Mahmoud Aishat Abike, and the backup presenter is Bangbo Seto Obola. Please, if you are with us in the meeting, you can start your presentation immediately.
Yeah, thank you for that. So please, for group 1, please kindly start the presentation. We are actually waiting for you. Or if group 1 is not ready, maybe group 2 can present theirs. Maybe while group 1 are trying to put their house in order, could have group 2 to present, to make their presentation. I don't know if that's fine, Mr. Ozin.
Yes.
Okay, please, group 2. I don't think group 1 is ready, but group 2, please, if you're ready, kindly group 2
All right,
present.
good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. Oladejo, good afternoon.
Yeah, so my name is Oladejo Ajibola. I will be representing Group 2, and I'll be talking majorly on robotics as it relates to labor law. So please give me a few seconds as I share my screen. Yeah, so can we all see it?
Please, we can see it. Oh,
All right,
Yes.
So I'll be talking majorly on this under this content. The first one is what is robotics. The second one is the status of Sophia. The third one is concerns around increased use of technologies. The fourth is robots and their legal challenges. Then the last one is recommendations for employers. So moving to this next slide, what is robotics? Robotics is a branch of technology that deals with the design, manufacture, operation, and application of robots. These robots are programmable machines that are used to complete tasks and that are used to do different kind of jobs. So if I have something I want to do in a particular place and maybe I can't get human labor to do it for me, and I can actually program a machine that's called robots to do it for me, and it's going to do it almost the way human is going to do it, or even better. So moving to the next slide, we have what is the status of Sophia. So we have different kinds of robots. So one of the types of robots we have is called the humanoid robots. Humanoid robots are created in human form. They can actually do human activities and they will do it fine. Humanoid robots can jump. Humanoid robots can carry something from a place to another. Humanoid robots can run. So an example of humanoid robots, we have Sophia. Sophia was created in the year 2016. And by 2017, Sophia had gained legal citizenship in Saudi Arabia. So moving to the next slide, this is what Sophia looks like. One of the reasons why we use Sophia as the point, as a major point here, is because Sophia can actually, she has a distinct feature, which is she knows her right from her wrong. So whenever you talk to Sophia, Sophia will answer you. Whenever you ask Sophia any question, she always have an answer, just like humans. So moving to the next slide, we have concerns around increased use of technology. The first point is workplace privacy. So in an organization or company, if we have in an organization or company, if we have robots that work in that company, the robots maybe have access to a few data as regards the company or the operators. So if there's a breach between the security of the company or the robot, if there's a breach, then people that are outside can have access to the data and they can use it against the company, or they can use it against the company or the operator. The data can actually be sold to other companies, so they can use it to recommend advertisements or to promote their goods and services. Moving to the next slide, we have health and safety. Robotics in the world of today is has been very, very useful in the medical line. We have seen cases where they use robots to do surgeries. I've seen cases where they use robots to transfer to transfer laboratory equipment. We have seen cases where they use robots to prescribe drugs. We have seen cases where they use robots for logistics within the medical sector. So with this understanding, robots, while doing the processes, they can actually, maybe when there's a malfunction in the robot, it can actually cause accident. So by the time it causes accident, there are some features that we are meant to look at to prevent the accidents or for safety. One of which is can limit the operations of the robots. For instance, the speed, the movement of robots within a medical sector. We can limit the speed so that it's not going to maybe overtake someone or maybe hit someone or anyhow. Then the next one is we can ensure that the robots meet the minimum machine safety standard as stated by OSHA. OSHA, the full meaning is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So they are the ones that are in charge of the rules and regulation as regards the health and administration. So moving to the next slide, we have anti-discrimination properties. So anti-discrimination properties, we can, in the creators and operators of robots can actually help by not allowing the robots get exposed to inputs that can directly indicate protected class, such as race and gender. So there will not be discrimination between this gender or this race. Maybe this person is a black person, this person is a white. So the creators and operators can actually guide against that by ensuring that the robot does not have access to this information. One. So to the next slide, in an organization where robots, we have the wage and hour requirements. So in an organization, obviously, robots are machines, they are not humans. But however, in an organization where the number of robots that are in use increase, then the number of operators also increase. So if the number of operators increase, then it is the operator that is going to get compensated for any of the job done with respect to the environment and the law that is guiding that place. So moving to the next one, unionization and collective bargaining requirements. So unionization is simply different workers come together to form a union within a particular environment. It can be a company, it can be an organization. Then, for example, if there's a scenario whereby the employer wants to substitute the worker for a robot, maybe a work that like human is doing, he wants to substitute it for a robot, then the employer has to tell the union. So maybe someone in the union is not okay with that decision, and the person by chance goes to meet the employer and talk to the employer as regards the decision that he or she wants to make. Then maybe when the person after saying everything, the employer will just most likely tell the person that employment is not by force. Employment is by we are most likely terminate the job, the person's job, and take the person's job from him. But then the National Labor Relations Act says that if the employer terminates the job, it is wrong. So the person has to know already that the employer has to know already that doing that in that scenario is going to be wrong. So moving to the next slide, human displacement. Companies and employers can by the time an employer wants to displace human or replace with robots, the employer is expected to inform the person, if possible, months before. So the person is going to know how it's going to move to the next stage of his or her life. And then the employer is expected to also support the person that is leaving in whatever way he or she can. So it should not just dismiss or displace the employee anyhow. So we have robots and their legal challenges. So we have the challenge of liability, we have challenges of crime and of data protection. One way in which we can ensure safety or prevent all these challenges is to ensure that robots and technologies are safe to use. So before we put any robots into action, we should ensure that they are very, very safe and they will not cause harm to anybody. And they cannot also organize or initiate public enlightenment to educate people on the use of robots, the rules and the regulations that are guiding it, and all. So moving to the next slide, can insurance be a solution? Insurance can be a solution because lives are attached to it. Robots are not relating with robots. Robots are relating with human. The operator would most likely be a human. So lives are attached to it. So for the safety of the life, insurance can be a solution. And lastly, recommendation for employers. We recommend that the employers involve human resource in robotic planning and development. We recommend the employers increase the use of contingent and virtual workers. And we recommend that the employers designate an HR personnel or corporate counsel. So thank you. I'm done, thank you.
Mr. Daniel, I think you are muted.
Okay, yeah, sorry. My apologies, sorry. Thank you so much, Oladejo. That was concise, that was brilliant. So I would call on our mentors to please comment on the presentation by group 2. Actually, no particular order.
I think group 1, you can still ask for group 1's presenter.
Okay, are they ready? Are they ready to present?
I think you should ask.
Group 1, okay, group 1. Group 1? Group 1? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I don't think anybody in group 1 is here, but the mentors can start the commenting now. Then maybe afterwards, if the group 1 is ready, you can still hear their presentation.
All right, thank you. So I'll call on our mentors to please comment on group 2's presentation. Like I said, in no particular order, maybe I'll call on Mr. Gabriel first to actually comment on group 2's presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I unfortunately didn't have the time to look at the presentation, but so this is a first-hand view of the presentation I have. And as I'd always say, whenever I'm here, I get to learn a lot. And, you know, we get to expand the knowledge that we think we've acquired over the years. The presentation was very, very straightforward, and I liked it. It was easy to understand, but there are specific questions that were raised by just looking at the presentation itself. Some of them are, you know, just drive us far away from robotics into philosophy. Like when the presenter said that Sophia knows right from wrong. It's been a complicated question over the years. I mean, whenever we're dealing with machine intelligence, artificial intelligence, the first question is, what's the idea behind the use of the word intelligence itself, and the capacity of the robot to independently on its own know. The word is know what is right and what is wrong. And there are so many perceptions to this. Personal opinion and from personal research, I don't think the word would be to know. Whatever the robot exhibits, whatever activity a robot exhibits is most times has been pre-programmed for it to act that way. If you read a little more about Sophia, for instance, Sophia is programmed in such a way that most of the information it gives out has either been preloaded or is gotten from the internet. And so most of those that argue in relation to robots, the knowledge of right from wrong, go with this idea that it doesn't know per se. The human element takes time to understand processes. There's a long thought process before the knowledge of right and wrong comes into the mind. So with the robots, some robots are barely mechanical. You have to press something before something moves. Like if they are controlled by somebody, whatever activity they exhibit is controlled by a human personnel, behind the scenes. So, well, personal opinion, people may argue on the other hand, and it may still make sense all the same, but that's my opinion. So the knowledge of right and wrong with robots, I don't think, even with robots that use extreme artificial intelligence, it's we've not gotten to that stage of general artificial intelligence where the robot can just know on its own that, okay, if I drop this on the floor, it's going to break. These things are programmed into the robots. That's first. Then the other thing that you mentioned, I didn't quickly take down the notes. It talked about the issue of data protection. I'm not sure why that is an outright problem. If of course, it's going to be a problem at the moment, but as long as we have laws to protect this, I think we can fix these problems before they even start. We have so many data protection laws locally and internationally. If we can implement this in workplaces, we may be talking about other issues like liability for accidents and crimes, but data protection should be at the moment, especially with certain robots protected by laws. There are some other things that I couldn't quickly take note of, but I'm sure when I take some time out to read through the presentation again, I'll find some things that I may choose to make comments on. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Mr. Gabriel, for the elucidation and throwing more lights on the presentation. Thank you so much. So I'll also call on our other mentors to please also throw more lights on the presentation. And I know we have Goodness Duru. Please, I don't know if you can also throw more lights on the presentation by Group 2. Okay, I don't know if Goodness is still with us, but I don't know if also Mr. Bode is with us. Mr. Bode can also kindly unmute and throw more light on the Group 2's presentation.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. I may not be able to say so much. I think I'll just wait a bit because I joined a bit late. So I'll just go through. Just wait for the other presentations to be done. And then maybe I can attend to that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Bode. Please, I don't know if. Okay, Group 1, please. Are you ready to present? Group 1. Mahmoud. I don't know if Mahmoud is here with us, the backup presenter. Mahmoud Aisha here. I don't think she's here. Oh, Bamboshe Tobowola, please, if you're here, Mamusha, I can see they're on call. Please, can you unmute and kindly make your group presentation? Please, Bambushe, we're actually waiting for you. Well, it seems that I'm not sure. I think
I tried reaching out to the group leader, and because the group leader is sick, so she sent me a message this morning saying she's treating herself. So I just told her to make the group presenter and the backup presenter ready. I think I sent you the name of the presenter and the backup presenter.
yeah.
If you are not available, we can just carry on with the program. Goodness Duru can also comment. I think
can I help Buffon?
Okay,
Okay.
please.
Presentation.
Thank you.
But you will help me with the slide because I'm
slides.
using my phone.
All right.
Okay, so our topic is robotics and oversight. Sorry. So we define robotic as the intersection of science, engineering, and technology. And we say robotics, they are machines that represent or replicate and substitute for human actions. So please, can you help me put up the slide because of holders?
Okay.
So what is robots?
Do you have the
We
slide?
try to
You can
have
share
the
with us.
slide, Mr. Hussein.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You see my slide?
So we define robots. Yeah, I can see it. So we define robots as a programmable machine. It's just a machine that helps to it helps you in any field to focus and develop. It helps you to complete a task. Why the term robotic describe the field of study that focus on developing robots? So major thing is about robots is that robots helps you to perform specific tasks. And we talk about types of robots. We talk about the pre-programmed robots. And then we said the pre-programmed robots operate in a controlled environment where you can do simple tasks, monotonous tasks, and stuff like that. So we now make examples. There's an example there. And we say an example of a pre-programmed robot would be a machine arm on an automotive assembly line. Then we talk about humanoid robots. So this type of robots is like it's like human being, but majorly they try to mimic human behaviors. And then these robots, they usually perform human activities like running, jumping, carrying objects, and stuff like that. So we also talked about autonomous robots. We say autonomous robots, they operate independently of human operators. That is, without human being trying to operate them, they can actually function by themselves or on their own. Then we talk about teleoperated robots. And we say teleoperated robots, they are semi-autonomous bots that use a wireless network to enable human control for safe distance. And then this can actually be used majorly by maybe people that drive or moves on a distance, like teleoperated related matters. Because majorly they are semi-autonomous robots that they use wireless network, that is without the use of cable, they can still work and function well. Then we talk about augmenting robots, where they are also known as VR robots, and they are either they enhance human capacity, or they replace the capacity of human being. That is, when human capacity is being lost or you can't function again, they actually enhance human capacity. Then we talk about then we now say, how do they normally function? Then robots functioning, we discuss that robots can function independently and then dependently. They can function independently and dependently. Independently is when they are capable of functioning completely without the help of human being. And dependent robots Dependent robots they are the non-autonomous robots that interact with humans to enhance and supplement their already existing action. That is, dependent robots, they are dependent, while independent robots, they are capable of functioning completely or autonomously and independently without the help of any operator to control them or with the help of individual. Then we'll now talk about the uses of robots. We discussed that robots can be useful in different ways. Number one, robots can be useful in manufacturing, working in factories. They can be useful in pet care sectors, assisting in surgical operations, delivering of goods, household, such as vacuuming, moving of grasses, cleaning up in the house, rescue, military operations. That is in military operation, detecting landmines in war zones or detecting detective or dangerous or harmful weapons. Then also we talk about the advantages of robots. We say one of the advantages of robots is that it's cost effective, it improves quality assurance, it reduces wastage, then work in hazardous environment. At least it can work in such environment. Then we'll talk about the disadvantages. As we all know, there's nothing that has advantages that doesn't have disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages is that it causes loss of jobs for a lot of people. It requires constant electricity. And in a country like Nigeria, where we have electricity issues, then we're going to have a lot of issues with our robots. Then we also discuss about restrictions to programming and programs languages. That is, robots requires a lot of computer languages. And in this instance, we'll be having issues of programmers, we'll be needing professional services in computer-related areas. And this will now, the major challenge is that we need a lot of computer literate and then programmers who is going to help us. Then also we discuss oversight. And oversight in this consent will refer to it as the act of reviewing and monitoring the activities of the robots to determine when there is an error, when there is a bias, and to know if that robot is actually functioning well. Then we talk about the governance machines. And then the governance machines is actually the means in which oversight can be achieved. And the major ways in which oversight can be achieved is human in the loop and the human on the loop. Human in the loop is the interactive simulation. That is known as the interactive simulation. The approach uses direct interaction between human and robots. That's human in the loop. And in this type of simulation, human is always part of the simulation. And when we're talking about human on the loop, is human in the command of AI, that is artificial intelligence. Then we refer to an article that was published in 2017, where we state that human can and they should also be in command of it. And what are we trying to say here is that at all times, human beings should always be in command of their artificial intelligence by using daily lives, what tasks we can transfer to AI, how transparent it is. And we'll now talk about examples of oversight in robotics, where we discuss that the use of goals technology, the use of AI to calculate, and then we'll now talk about the challenges, the major challenges we are facing and the solutions. And the first challenges is how we interact with robots and how their intelligence will make them more like human. And how do we interact with these robots? How do we make them like, now we're talking about their intelligence capacity that makes them more like human. Then this can actually lead to conflict between human and the machine. Then we talk about robots, we take jobs from people, and then due to their efficiency and cost effectiveness, it can lead to higher unemployment rates. That is, when robots have to do a lot of things that human being can do, then a lot of people, some people to affect some people, that some people will have to lose their jobs. Then we propose solutions that, in view of increasing economy in AI and robotic system, it is necessary to ensure human oversight in every situation and define a moral and legal framework that clearly outstates the responsibility of all parties involved. That is, there must be a legal framework, and this legal framework must state the responsibility and clearly outline the responsibility of all parties that are involved in the robotic system, in artificial intelligence. And these include the developers, the manufacturer, the operators, the users, and customers. Then lastly, we now said there is need for algorithm and computational precautions for ethical behavior to be directly integrated into machines and architectures and machine design to minimize possible ethical violations and more behaviors in autonomous action. So we apologize for. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Esther. Thank you for the presentation. I think it was brilliant, and yeah, my opinion, I think it was brilliant. It was concise. It was straight to the point. Thank you so much. I'll call on our mentors to pass comments and also help us possibly throw more light on the presentation, robotics and oversight. So I'll first call on Goodness. Please, if you can, we'll be grateful to have your comments on group 1 and even group 2 presentation as well. Thank you.
Sorry, your network is breaking. I don't think we can hear you clearly. No, we can't. Okay, the network is breaking.
Sorry, we
I
can't.
don't know if I'm the only one. Can anybody else hear him clearly?
No, I can't. I can't either. I think the network is breaking from his end or our end. Perhaps maybe if we can, perhaps if you can, please, maybe help us get a better location so we can hear you clearly.
Okay, before we hear from Goodness Zuru, I think Mr. Gabriel can also comment on the second presentation before we move to Mr. Akin.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Esther, for the presentation. That was, again, very precise, and it handled a lot of issues. In the last couple of months, what I've decided to do with topics like this is to be realistic about them. You know, we've spent years researching about law, laws, some that are not implementable, and having this very technical discussions about robots, about artificial intelligence, and without even looking at the actual application of these things in the society. So I think this presentation did a whole lot of that. It went real deep into actual applications, talked about challenges and solutions. What problems are we likely to have? These are things that should be on the table now, because robotics have come to stay. And like you just mentioned in the presentation, there's no way we can turn back the hands of time and fix the things that appear to be problems. So now we should be talking about the solutions, especially for Africa. We've not gone as far as some other European systems or the rest of the world, basically. But one of the things I noticed very quickly from the presentation, which the other things may be discussed when we are answering the questions, if there is time. What struck me was one of the problems the presenter raised was that we're going to need lots of programmers and experts in computer science, so to speak, to control these robots. And I don't completely agree with that. It totally makes sense when you look at the very technical ideology behind robots. But if you consider the Roomba, for instance, or the very simple robots that we have in our homes, you don't need an engineer to come to tell you how that robot moves. So even robots that are as complicated as automated cars, for instance, like Tesla car, once you buy it, you don't need an engineer to follow you home. So one of the things that's very interesting about some robots, most robots, are that they are built to fit. You know, they are built to be understood, to be able, there's a capacity of the human for whom it is built to control it. So if you're a driver and you buy a car, just in the ordinary mechanical sense, you don't need a mechanic to always go with you to teach you how to drive the car. You just need to be able to drive a car. So there are certain robots, workplace robots, all sorts of robots. Basically, you just need a basic understanding of some very minor things, you know, like the Roomba, that's the house cleaning robot. You don't need the company to send an engineer to tell you how to get it to clean the house. So that might be, it might be a little on the other side, you know, the understanding that robots these days, especially the recently built robots, are built for the human society and for specific uses. We can't build robots. There are robots that are used by kids, you know, these little toys that move around on their own. They have to be built in such a way that even a child will be able to control it. You know, there are robots that are remote control. All you need to do is to know what to press on the remote control, you know, and it makes the robot do a particular thing. So that might be one of the points that I have a different opinion about. But in all, once again, I think the presentation was very, very interesting and very down to earth, if I may use that term. So thank you very much for the presentation. And I really hope to hear from the other mentors who are skilled robotists, because I'm basically a lawyer. Yes, I've done some training in robotics and artificial intelligence, but I think it's interesting to hear what the guys in the field, you know, that are actually touching these things with their hands have to say about these things. Because like I said earlier, we are done talking about the technical things, the how, but we should start thinking of, okay, let's come down to the application itself. If we bring this into our system, how are we? It's enough talking about robots in the sense of huge, you know, technical stuff. We should look at when we bring them into the workplace. What if a robot steps on a human's toe? What do we do? How do we fix it? Instead of thinking of how do we, you know, the very technical things. So I really, really hope to hear from the other mentors. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gerber. So like I said, we would love to hear from the other mentors who are in the field, who are dealing with the practical aspects of it. So I don't know if Mr. Bode is still with us, if you can comment. Okay, goodness Duru is back. Okay, thank you. Please, you can proceed.
Okay. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. This is Bode Akimodu. So I'm the CTO, Lienside Robotics. It's a robotic development company.
Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Okay. So sorry, I won't be able to join on video. I'm actually in my car. So I hope that's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll be sharing your flyers.
Okay. So so based on what has been presented, the concept of robotics. So let me just take a general perspective as someone who is very active in the field. So yeah, robotics has a lot, is a multidisciplinary field. There are so many aspects that combine to make robotics what it is. You have the hardware, you have the software, you have the firmware, you have, but it also has to go beyond that. It already has gone beyond that, because you have robotics So robotics is I would say it's kind of like an offshoot of the basics of what technology is, which is to reduce the effort of humans. Robotics takes that an extra step by um, being able to perform repetitive tasks, being suited majorly for repetitive tasks that are not may not be the best for human endeavors or human capacity. So robotics, it's now beyond just the software, the hardware, and other things. You now have other disciplines coming into robotics, like arts, like such as arts, such as what they call it, fashion, and so as psych, should I say psychology? Yeah, you have so many things that are now coming in and fusing agriculture, fusing in with robotics, right? Biology, chemistry, and so it's now a bit very diverse, extremely diverse. So my take from the global perspective and then from the African perspective. From global perspective is that robotics has rapidly growing, especially for industrial use cases, manufacturing, scaling in agriculture, meeting demand for goods and services. We are seeing robots in the service industry, in the hospitals, in restaurants, robots that are responsible for preparing things like hamburgers, pizzas. We're saying those jobs that are repetitive, that would have been done by humans, being assigned to dedicated robots whose major or sole application is to do those specific tasks. So in the aspect of Africa, Africa clearly needs a lot of automation, and that automation will involve um, many forms of robotics. Actually, one aspect that needs a lot of robotics application is in the agricultural space. Agricultural robotics is needed in the manufacturing space in Africa. It's needed in the logistics space, and when I say logistics space, warehouse management, which will improve a lot of efficiency and things like that. It's needed at airports. It's needed at ports, and these industries I'm talking about are where it's critical for Africa to actually have automation and robotics as up to, I'd say, more than 60% of their tasks, because these are industries where that is causing a lot of lack of efficiency, and it's causing a lot of problems in the movements of goods and services across. And these are things that are like, for instance, there has been for those who are in Lagos and in Abuja, there have been cases of false scarcity, right? When you link many of these things, you link it back to the ports, to the depots. These issues are mostly caused by lack of automation at the depots, at the ports, where we have goods and services that stay at the port for long hours or long days or months, is because the systems there are not automated. They are not. There's no application of automation and robotics at a large scale. So you're having defects. So Africa requires in those industries a critical shift and transition to automation and robotics. In terms of the legal aspect of robotics, my own take on it is the aspect of robotics causing job losses. It's inevitable, right? It's similar to the advent of the telephone. It's similar to the advent of the automobile, where horses were taken out of the equation, and horse riders, carriage riders were taken out of the equation, where so you have all these things that are happening, but the broader sense, if you look at it from a bigger perspective, you realize that the benefits is that it's going to cause an upskilling of individuals, right? Humans doing repetitive and injurious tasks, labor-intensive tasks that do not improve their reasoning, does not really improve their creativity. Those tasks will have to be automated. In many cases, robotics will have to be applied to it. And as many jobs will be, I wouldn't say lost, as many jobs will become redundant, um, many jobs will also be created, are also being created. And presently, there's a big hole in the automation industry that cannot even be filled at this point, and will hardly ever be able to be filled because of the demand, which is automation and robotics skill-based individuals and engineers and other people, what they call it, disciplines. So another thing I would say that it will be the focus in the legal aspect of robotics would be where it will be in the aspect of taxes. Now, a robot filling the role of a worker will most likely cause that worker whose salary is being, in which tax is being deducted from their salary, to be in one way lost. Governments all over the world are putting incentives for companies to shift to automation and robotics. Now, if the taxes are being lost, does it really benefit the government, right? If taxes for a worker. So if 10 robots can replace the task of 100 human beings. So we are saying in one sense that 90%, the taxes that were derived from those 100 employees would be lost by the government. So these are things that will be considered significantly going forward. I think these are things that legal and tax-based issues would arise in terms, so governments would have to based be taxed so that they do not lose revenue. So I think that will be a critical aspect in the robotics space going forward. Another aspect I think will be significant from the legal perspective will be injury to workers. Now, typically, most robotics cannot be said to cause injury themselves, right? Injuries are usually caused by either the human operating the robot or the program that was written to operate the robot, to cause the robot to operate in a certain way. So robots that are not equipped with any sort of advanced intelligence that is touted to enable them to think or reason for themselves cannot really be faulted as, cannot really be attacked, right? They cannot be put in the category where people can say this robot caused harm to me. No. But when a company which develops a particular automation solution or a robotic solution and states there that this robot is allowed to think for itself, this robot is allowed to make decisions independent of a human, then, and when we are talking about this, we're talking about machine learning, we're talking about AI, we're talking about being fused with automation and robotics. And when you tout that as a manufacturer, or when you push that as a manufacturer, then the liability starts falling on you. But if these are just programmed robots that are meant to perform repetitive tasks, automated tasks, and they will definitely come with manuals. They will come with safety guides, and if anything happens during the operation of this robot, then the liability may not fall so much on the manufacturer, because they would have clearly stated it there that this or that can happen. They are not meant to be used for specific applications or in specific ways. So when you start using AI, when you start using one form of higher intelligence to automation and robotics, then you start bearing the liability for those machines. I hope I've been able to clear what some of the questions that were that have been on some people's mind based on the presentation. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akin. Body. I think we'll call on Mr. Goodness Duru to also make contributions and comments on the presentation.
All right. Mr. Hussein, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so sorry. I'm in an area with terrible network. So I don't know when it's going to get worse. So I will just try and combine the concern over try to combine both concerns from I can't start my video please because of the network. Thank you, sorry. So I would want to address the concern about job loss. So thing is, anytime there is new technology, everybody is always concerned about job losses. But one thing you could say is that there's always offset, just like Mr. Bode said, it's always offset by creation of new jobs due to demand and all that. Let me give you an example. During the medieval times, you had scribes, people that read books and copied out the book by hand. That was before the introduction of the printing press. Now you could have said, yeah, introducing printing presses would have, made them lose their job. But the thing is that the immediate effect was that they didn't actually lose their job because people still thought printing presses were of lower quality than using a scribe. But you could also say that printing press in a way allowed for easier dissemination of books than what was previously possible. And so when you think about it, you could say the amount of jobs that were created due to the actually offset the loss of jobs by the scribes. And you could also say before printing presses were introduced, reading was a luxury. Acquiring the skill of reading was a luxury skill, not necessarily a necessity. But printing presses allowed the wide dissemination of books. Because of that,
I think your network has started breaking, so I can barely hear you. I think you should reconnect to the meeting because we can't hear you anymore. Okay. We still can't hear you, sir. Your voice is breaking.
People have to start reading, they have to go to
Am I the only one facing this challenge? Or okay, we are all facing the challenge.
schools.
Okay, sir. Can you hear me?
I can't hear him actually. It's really breaking.
Yes, same thing here.
You could say
Daniel Akinwale, I think you are muted.
there was an echo.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. I think his network is actually breaking. So I don't know. Please, Mr. Gunes, if you can help us reconnect, we'll be glad to have you back because your network is actually bad and we can't hear you clearly. I think he's no longer on the call, if I'm correct. Okay, pending when we would have Mr. Goodness for that comment. Please, We don't know if the mentees have questions before we proceed to ask some questions that we have here. Please, do you have any question? Mentees, please ask your question. Do you have questions for the mentors? Okay, I think I have to. Okay, before we will proceed to the questions, I would want to encourage us to put on our videos. If we can, let's put on our videos, everyone, please. And we're going to smile. So please put on your videos. Mentees, please kindly put on your videos. We're going to smile. We'll be taking a screen grab of everyone. So please put on your videos. I want to see your beautiful faces. And please, Esther, I think your video is on mute. Grace, call it to Bamboshe, please. Busola, kindly put on your videos, please. We are actually waiting for you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Grace, please can you put on your video? Bamboshe, please can you put on your video? Okay. Mr. Hussein, I think are you taking a screenshot already? Okay, please kindly smile. Those of us on video, please smile. Our smiles are needed. Okay. So Mr. Hussein, have you taken the screenshot or we're still on?
Yes, I've taken the screenshots. You can continue.
Okay. Thank you so much. So please, do you have any questions from the mentees? Do you have any questions for our mentors? We are all here to learn. For me personally, I've actually learned from the comments, from the presentation. I think I've learned not only the legal angle, but a bit of the practical aspect, that is from Mr. Body's comment. So please, any question? Okay, I'll proceed to ask questions we have already. So this question will be directed to just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, this question will be directed to Mr. Body. Yes, because you're on the field. So I'll be asking because you're on the field. Please, how can humans establish and maintain careful oversight of the work carried out by robots? Although Mr. Gabriel has told us from the comments from the mentors that there are some robots that we know they are independent robots. And okay, the questions are actually on the chat, but I'll just read. And that there are some robots that we can actually control by ourselves. But I don't know robots that we cannot. How do we maintain careful oversight of works carried out by robots? How do we monitor these works by robots? If I purchase a robot, for instance, how do I have a careful oversight by robots? So Mr. Bode, please, would love to have your response to this question.
Okay.
To question one.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Loud and clear.
Okay, is it from a legal perspective or a user perspective? Can you hear me?
I would say from a user perspective and a practical perspective. Then Mr. Gabriel can also give us the legal perspective.
Okay.
So we'd love to have a comment on the user and the practical perspective.
Okay, well, if, like I said, if you purchase a robot or an automated solution, depending on the complexity of that robot or that solution, the manufacturer should definitely provide a user guide, user manual, and a disclaimer on what the robot can be used for, where it should be used, how it should be used, situations in which it should be used and should not be used. So if so more or less, if you are getting a robotic solution, you should definitely look out for those kinds of details, right? You should not get a robot or an automated solution in that regard. And if you decide to get a robot equipped with so-called AI, you should ensure that the manufacturer or the manufacturer has clearly made available to you all the details you need in situations where the robots may not act properly, where it may develop issues, where it can cause harm, and how you should be able to address those issues when they happen. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you so much. I think it does. Yeah, at least you've been mentioned the fact that a user guide will be able to help us have careful oversight of the workings of a robot. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Gabriel, can you give us your own perspective on question one? How do we humans, possibly maybe the legal angle now? How do we maintain a careful oversight?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think someone mentioned it. I think one of the presentations, some of the answers to this question were given. But this is my point. First, no matter how much we want to have a practical solution to this, first, we also have to look at the legal angle, like Bode has tried to mention. So it's simple. First, we need to make laws. We need to even have the laws, put laws in place to make sure that in the process of building robots, there are certain structures that are followed. The question usually sounds like somebody asking, how are we safe walking on the road when we know that there could be mad people driving on the streets? Of course, everyone has a personal idiosyncrasy. There are people that drive and they would like to drive faster than others. There are people that would like to take U-turns at wrong places, but because there are laws put in place to put everyone at the same level, So as long as we have laws and ethics, and then we can also ensure that these laws are obeyed. That's on the general level. And then we go to the other angle also. We need to have people that run these robots. People have to be trained to understand. It's like saying that everybody has the right to drive a car. There are people who don't know how to turn on an engine, and you tell them, of course, you can drive. And when they have emergencies, they jump into the car. So you need to define who has the capacity. People have to be trained for specific robots that pose certain dangers. So of course, you have to train the people to know how to handle it, instances like first aid. So the first solution is the law itself. The second solution is the people. And I think we can also use the current laws, though, like I've mentioned in some other previous sessions, especially in Africa, we do not have enough rules to cover the emerging technologies as it is. We have data protection laws, like I mentioned earlier, to fix problems that deal with data protection. When a robot commits a crime, for instance, we can go back to the general criminal code, the criminal law, and find a way to apply what is there. In certain societies, the rule in Rylance and Fletcher, some rule that sounds like Rylance and Fletcher specifically, is used to pin liabilities, strict liabilities on owners of robots. For instance, if your robot breaks accident, well, not by accident, in the natural use of that robot, or the unnatural use of a robot, you cause certain damage to the property of another person or to another person, then some of those rules can be lifted from other aspects of the law of thought and applied. So we can also we can do this in every sense, as long as we're waiting for laws to catch up with the technological developments. We can use the available laws to ensure that people are protected first. Jobs are also protected. I mean, this is usually a very huge topic that we've not even touched. The first speaker, I can't remember, the first person that spoke mentioned that, yeah, we're going to have job losses. And one of the mentors has said that we of course, there's been, this is like a repetition. Every time we have job losses, we also have a cover up for that. But I can tell you that especially in Africa, the job losses are going to be really a lot faster than the capacity of people to retrain and catch up with the new trend so they can also get back into the job market. So we are going to have, for instance, we have statistics show that 90% of jobs are automatable. They can be transferred to robots. And how many people can actually operate robots, industrial robots, for instance, in Nigeria now? So just think about that. We're going to have lots more people lose jobs than more people actually gain jobs from these processes. Yeah, so that's basically it. We just need to have, first, we need to generally have laws in place. That's something that Africa currently is very deficient in. Secondly, we need to have people. And then we need to learn how to, if we have to borrow from other laws to apply to cover up for these deficiencies. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel. Thank you for your response. You're very actually precise. Thank you so much. So I'll proceed to the second question. And even you actually also answered the follow-up question that I actually wanted to ask. Thank you so much. So the second question we have is, with the world being so diverse in ideology and thinking, how can we achieve trust in robots if they only reflect the ideation of a few groups of people? So Mr. Gabriel, please, I think you would go first on this. How do we achieve trust in robots? Okay. I think especially in Africa, because we are backwards in terms of technology and what have you. So how do we?
Yeah, I sort of mentioned that while speaking on the previous question. I mean, the question, like I mentioned earlier, usually sounds like, how are we sure we are safe on the streets when there are people flying, when we can have mad people flying aircraft, when we can have people that want to overspeed, when we have people that want to drive one way? Of course, everybody wants to. If you're stuck on a Lagos traffic or in Abuja traffic, as the case may be, there's usually the perception. Last week, I was in Abuja and then I got stuck on one of those traffics. And then the boat driver told me, "Oga, I can go to the other lane and just climb." I'm like, "No, don't do it." So everybody wants to get something for personal purposes. Like, I want to quickly get to my destination. So how are other people who don't have cars, how are they safe? Simple. We just have to control everybody. We need to find a way to create a level playing ground. As long as you have the right to use the highway the way you want to, another person has the right to also use the highway. So we need to create a balance. Laws, people, let's look generally at the society. What kind of society do we even have? We need to go all the way back. It's just a wide range of solutions, but we cannot independently trust robots, because it's like trusting a car. There has to be accidents at some point. There also has to be mismanagement. You could make robots for specific purposes and they are used for other things. People use drones now to spy on people. I mean, delivery drones are used to spy on people. So basically, we need to just put laws and people in place to ensure that there's a level playing ground for everybody, so that no matter what kind of robots you would like to build, there is a structure. There are things that you cannot skip. One of the basic examples of this is in Germany, at least I'm sure of that. If you're making an e-bike or an e-bicycle, the speed limit must not be above 25 kilometers per hour. So no matter what, if you're importing any bicycle, any electronic bicycle into Germany, it has to meet that speed limit. Anything higher than that is characterized as a motorbike. And there are other laws that govern motorbike. You need to have a license to ride it. Okay, so as much as you want to have a bicycle and make it as fast as 100 kilometers per hour, but to protect other people who would think you're riding a bicycle, meanwhile you're already faster than some motorbikes, they kept that speed limit. Everybody has to stay within, at this level. So that's my perception. There are other solutions, I think, but this is the easiest way to handle it. We don't have to trust the robots. We have to create laws. Just like we don't trust other people in the society not to shoot us. on the street, but you have to find laws to put everybody at the same pedestal, especially when it has to do with making of robots and the actual use, especially in workplaces.
Okay, let me just take a bit on that, sir.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, where we have implementation challenge.
Yeah.
And also where we have issues with our dispute resolution mechanism, the slow process of our dispute resolution mechanism, whether it is arbitration, whether it is litigation, whatever mechanism you choose to deploy. Now, how do we? Because when there are issues with robotics workings in the country, how do we put this into perspective in ensuring that you have a level playing ground? How can human seek seek damages when there are challenges or when there are damages carried out by these robots? So, what's your take on that?
Okay, firsthand, every society has its problems, and this might just be one of the things that even with normal human beings, how do we ensure that if somebody kills another person, he goes to prison? Sometimes people do commit crimes and they go scot-free because we have a challenged society. We have those problems. Our judicial systems may not be at the optimum and all that. So those problems are certainly always going to be there, but we can try as much as possible to limit them. I just gave an instance. We go back to the roots of the making of these systems. We don't wait. In Nigeria, we have this, let's see if there's an accident, let's see how to fix it. We don't wait until there's an accident. We have to practice a prevention mentality than thinking of, okay, how do we cure? If we say everyone that is building, that is making a drone, for instance, the drone must not be able to fly higher than a particular level, or should be able to do just this to this level, or should not have cameras with this, what do they call it? This resolution that can actually capture people and breach people's privacy. If you make these laws available at the point of the making of these systems, then you're going to be preventing a lot of things rather than waiting for there to be a problem and then we have to go to courts and all that. I've given an instance in Germany where I stay. You can't make an e-bike that is faster than 25 kilometers per hour. You can't even import one because once it gets to the ports, they'll check them. They'll check the speed. Everything is checked. At the point of making them, all the companies that make e-bikes in Germany, all the companies that make cars in Germany, there are speed limits that you can run. For instance, even in the US, police vehicles are always the fastest. These rules are implemented at the point of the making of these systems so that we don't get to the point where there's a problem and we start looking for a cure. We start looking at our judicial system. Once in a while, we're going to have exceptions. Okay, this one was accidentally higher than 25 kilometers per hour. Then we go to court. But when we have thousands of these cases going to court, then our judicial system, the inefficacies of our system would begin to replicate itself in the cases. So we can prevent it's like building a house and saying, let me wait. When water begins to come, I'll create a gutter behind it so the water can pass. By the time the water comes, you're trying to deal with the water and you're trying to pack things out of your house too. So it makes it more complicated. So we need to look at the root of the problem. Let's go to the point of the creation of systems. Our laws mostly are not preventive. Most of our laws are, if there's a breach in the fundamental rights, when you go to court, this is the process in court. How about making sure that people don't even have the ability to breach the fundamental rights of people? So we have to get back to the root, fix the problem from the root. So we don't need to look at these inefficiencies because now we have too many cases in court and the judges are tired and people are complaining that there's bribery and all that. So this is my opinion.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it answers my question. So I'll just call on Mr. Bode to quickly throw more light on the second question. How do we have trust in robots? Since they reflect the ideation of a few groups. Possibly Mr. Bode can give us on the field solution to this question. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think that most of it has been explained by the other mentor, and so I stand on what he has already said. There will definitely be a lot of regulation that ensures that the manufacturers put in standardization and things like that. And there will definitely be exceptions that, rogue robots or machines that, may perform badly or may not perform according to how they've been manufactured, especially when you have to deal with AI and the likes. But I think this is the reason why a lot of technologies are yet to see the light of day in terms of mass adoption, because one case example is the UAV industry, the drone industry, where there has not been any agreed regulation yet or standardization across all countries. So we're having this a situation whereby we have not there's still slow adoption, right, on these things. So these are some of the things that will be factored in. I definitely, each country will develop its own use case, but there still needs to be a global standard for many technologies, especially robotics. In the industrial robotics market, or in the industrial robotics field, we already have some of these. But so many other aspects of robotics are still lacking a lot of standards, are still lacking in terms of standards and things like that. So I agree with what has been said, and I think these are some of the things that a lot will have to do with nations having standards, agreeing to standards across board. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bode. I'll just proceed to the third question very quickly. Although both mentors have actually mentioned, I've said something about it. Mr. Bode, please, you would have you on this. Although you said something about it, and also Mr. Gabriel also made mention of something. I also commented on it, but we still love to have more light on this question. Now, does the inclusion of robots in daily activities of companies really have an adverse effect on the labor market? I know you both have said something about the effects that robots will have on the labor market, but we still love to have more light on it. So Mr. Gabriel is already muted, so Mr. Gabriel, you can actually proceed.
Okay. Yeah. Now, of course, the answer to that question is yes. It's more like a general question. There are certainly going to be positive effects, so there are also going to be negative effects. Some of them have been mentioned in the course of this discussion, either at the presentation stages or by one of the mentors at some point. But one of the most outright effects of this would be unemployment. Again, and as been said, at several instances, there's going to be loss of jobs. Sometime in the future, we're going to have people catch up. More people are going to reskill and get back into the market. But basically, we're going to have so many people. When companies realize that the salaries they are paying to 100 people, they can save it by just getting one robot. And for the next 10 years, they're saving that salary. Trust me, they're going to lay off those 100 people one way or the other, especially in Nigeria, where the laying off culture is very erratic. A company can wake up and tell you, thank you for your services. And they know that if you go to court, it's going to take you 20 years to get judgment and you'll get financially tired, so they'll just kick you off. So that's going to happen. We need to be ready for that. This other thing that has been mentioned in passing, I think by one of the mentors, was the issue with taxation. Governments are also going to lose a lot. Income taxes come from the people that are working. So when you have those people leaving the labor market, then what I think at the moment is that they are going to find a way to increase other taxes. Other forms of taxation will come up. In the US, the IFR was thinking about having robot taxes, taxing the income made by companies from the activities of robots in the system. And as at mid June, July this year, they were still having that conversation. I'm not sure where that is going, but I also think governments are going to find a way to fix that. These are the two major areas. There are so many other things. It's going to affect even the laws themselves. Labor laws themselves are going to really be hit hard. When I read Nigeria's Labor Act, I just basically see that we're not ready to start facing that revolution. It's going to take us years, and with lots of politics and politicking. It's going to be a long process. You know how it is to amend laws in Nigeria, and we are going to go back through that process and the pains of what people go through while that's being done. We're going to face that. So yeah, these are the major things that, like I've mentioned, there are many of this. It's just going to change. It's going to change the face of employment, basically. It's already started in so many places. We're just a little backward. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel. As you were speaking, an idea actually hits me, because the fact that in Nigeria, I think we are so reactive in adopting changes, in adapting and adopting changes. So when you're like, okay, the capital market, the human capital market will definitely be hit hard, but also the idea of we're just so slow because in adapting change, because basically nobody wants to lose their job, and of course we also know our politics and the politicking in Nigeria, our politicians, anything that has to do with affecting their pockets, affecting their ill-gotten wealth, and of course, they would not really want to have anything to do with it, even if it would benefit the citizen and the country. Thank you so much for your comment. So, Mr. Bode, we also throw the same question to you. Let me tweak it a bit. Of course, definitely, just like Mr. Gabriel said, obviously, it will have an adverse effect. Should I call it an adverse effect? Well, because it will also enable employees or soon to be employees to now also look at areas of upskilling and reskilling. But so, Mr. Bode, how do you see this having? What kind of effects do you see the inclusion of robots having on the Nigeria labor markets and even the African labor markets? That will be that. I'm taking it a bit. What kind of effects do you see?
Okay, yeah. So I think it will have very little effect for the at least within the next at least within now and 20 between 2030 to 2040. I think it will have very little effect, especially between now and 2030. I think it's even more critical that we have it in some industries, because we have our brightest minds, our youngest minds going. You'll be surprised, right? The relocation buzz going on right now. You'll be amazed, or you'll be surprised to know that it's not all just software that people think about that is making people move. We know the medical industry is part of it, the medical industry, but you'll be surprised that a lot of people are going out there to work for companies who are heavily involved in automation. So our brightest minds, because we do not have, or we are not applying these technologies down here, would rather relocate to see for themselves and work with those technologies over there, right? In the agricultural space, which is in a critical state of requiring a lot of automation across storage, cultivation, harvesting, seeding, and things like that, planting, and things like that. You realize that the next generation of employees are not going to be willing to take a hoe or a cutlass or a shovel, right, and go to the farm and do all that, right? You'd rather interest them when they are they are able to operate really advanced machinery that give them, with less effort, gives them better efficiency and productivity. So we have a generation, the next generation of employees who want to do intellectually stimulating tasks that with a little effort, they are able to have improved productivity, and that's what robotics and automation will do for you. So, but like I said, in Nigeria, for the next 20 years, we'll only see robotics across some industries, but not robotics, majorly automation across some industries, just automation across some industries. But majority of it will be in the manufacturing sector. Robots that will be common in the that could also be common would be, I'd say, in the service industry. Let's say in the restaurant industry, in the logistics industry. And when I mean logistics, I'm talking about warehousing at the airports, and let's say the cargo ports. We really need those, and I believe one or two solutions will definitely be adopted. If they are not locally created, they will be adopted or imported by that time. But in terms of jobs being lost, no, I think there's even going to be a big demand for people with those local skills, because we have foreign companies who are automation based and robotics based, who are looking for an inroad into the African market. But the reason why they cannot succeed yet is because there are no local integrators of their technology within the space. So it's quite difficult for them to actually get themselves into this market. But is there a need for it? Yes, I can tell you for a fact there's a critical desire and a need by manufacturers, by people who are running businesses that need to scale, to actually adopt automation and robotics, actually. In terms of losing jobs, no. We actually need to do a lot of upskilling for our coming generations. There needs to be a lot of upskilling right from academia to industry. Industries having consistent R&D programs that actually innovate and build solutions that are going to be tailored to our needs and other African countries. So I do not see any major impact in the job industry in this part of the world until something significant happens. Maybe there's an influx of people back into the country, and those people bring their expertise, which they've learned in other countries, back into the country, and then you may see a rapid increase in demand for all this, and then you have more job creation, actually. Yeah.
Mr. Bode, I might still permit me to just stretch this a bit I'll be asking this question to Mr. Gabriel. Thank you so much, Mr. Bode, for your response, and I really gained a lot from it. But now to ask Mr. Gabriel, what impact do you see automation and robots having in the legal space? Because whether I would like it or not, once the manufacturing sector is, I want to use what is affected, and some other sectors are affected, the legal space will also be providing legal services to this sector. And just like Mr. Bode said, people will be leaving the country to acquire this knowledge, first-hand knowledge in developed countries. So, but in the Nigerian legal space, what do you see? How do you see the inclusion of robots and automation? What impact do you see it having in the Nigerian legal space?
Okay, first, like I mentioned earlier, the effect is just, it's going to be there, one way or the other. It might take a longer time because of our pace, usual, backward pace of development, but it's going to come. The technologies will come with all those challenges. In the legal sphere, first of all, if you do a little research, you realize that some countries, for instance, China is using an AI judge. They've already started test running it at the European Court of Human Rights. I think last year there was a test run, and the decision it made from gathering evidence and following all the other processes and giving judgment was predicted at 99.8% correct with all the other judges of the European Court of Human Rights. That was last year. We have the same thing in China. So on the long run, we're going to have this. One way or the other, it's going to take quite some time, but it's going to get there. We're going to have systems where lawyers don't need to, like we do front loading now. You don't need to go and stand there and start arguing. You just gather your evidence, upload it in a system, and it does some, it's programmed to find what evidence is true, what evidence is presentable, what is admissible, and what is not, and all that. All those things can be programmed. So when it comes to automation, we're getting there. Once that happens, the jobs of lawyers are going to be reduced, not completely taken away, because there are still human-specific functions for lawyers and judges, And then we also have, it's going to come with some positive effects too. We know that one of the biggest problems judges face today in Nigeria is the issue of writing in longhand. It drags the whole judicial adjudication process. It just makes it so time-consuming because the judge has to write every single thing that everyone is, that is being addressed in court. So if we have a system that takes off this job, just imagine that you're using a speech to text system, and it converts everything you're saying. So it completely cuts off. You can handle 100 cases in court if the judges are not having to write everything, And if the judges have a system that writes the ruling and reads it for them, it cuts off like 80% of their jobs. So basically, yes, we're still going to have people in the loop. There are some jobs that can only be done by human beings. That's on the one side. On the other side, we are also going to have more people leave the country, get trained, and come back. Now, the coming back is completely dependent on so many other factors. But we're going to have so many lawyers who feel they can't really fit into the new system. That's when the system finally comes. And there's going to be the need to upskill and reskill. So you have lawyers getting out of the country or leaving practice for a while and doing some courses in tech and then getting back to the system. There's going to be lots of adjustments here and there. Now, those are the two major ones, but there are many others. It's going to make the system more effective. We're going to lose people. The human element in the system is going to go. The emotions that you find in some judgments are going to go at some point. And it's sometimes those emotions help because the judgment has to be fair. It doesn't have to be correct. It just has to be fair. So these are the major things we're going to see in the coming, with the advent of technology. But then robot automation. But then the mental automation. It's going to take quite some time. Where we are so many years away from that, and until we get there, we just keep enjoying what we have now. Thank you.
Mr. Gabriel. Okay, finally, just the final question. So that before.
What's in common in being blank? That's okay before you lock it. What?
Busola, please. Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Please kindly mute yourself, Busola. Or can the host kindly help us mute? Sorry. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel. Sorry, I was muted. But the final question we have here is, does the use of robots, I think this is also very important, do really affect, because definitely, like you said, some employees will be laid off, new ones will be employed, there'll be new skills to be acquired, new employees will be taking in employees with these skills to handle automation, who are skilled in that aspect. Now, will it affect the remuneration and compensation of employees?
Yeah, it will.
How does this affect, or how does it affect? And if it will affect, what can employees do in such circumstance?
Well,
Thank you.
it's
Sorry, please. Sorry, please. Let me.
okay.
I have to quickly run. But thank you for the time. Sorry, I have something to attend to urgently. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bode. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All
Very
right,
great.
thank you, buddy. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
so like I said earlier, yeah, of course it's going to affect remuneration. It's simply economics. If you become less useful to your employer, he can offer you the option of cutting down your pay or kicking you off completely. So we're going to have that. You know, you're going to have capitalist employers tell you, well, this is your job. You're not really, if we get a robot, you can even do it better. But will you take half your pay and stay on the job? Eventually you might get kicked, but then, so this is the one thing we are going to face. It's going to likely going to cost that. It will affect remuneration. And then on the other hand, it's going to increase because this is the prediction. When you have a more effective system in companies and producers, for instance, then there will be higher production and higher outputs, higher income, and some companies with, you know, the few employees they have. Because many, like I mentioned earlier, from the scratch, you know that many employees are going to lose their jobs. So if you cut off people and you have more income, then it would be sensible to make sure the few people you have are well taken care of. You know, so this is simply economics. That's the economic perception of the whole scenario. But then what can people do about it to protect themselves? Before you get employed, this is the thing with Nigeria, we mostly just sign employment contracts, or we just agree to certain things, and we don't look at certain terms and conditions because of the situation. You just get a job and then somebody tells you, no, read the terms and conditions. No, you just need a job that pays you money. And a time will come that the documentation that got you into that job would be one of the most important documents to rely on, because if your wages have been stated clearly in your employment letter, then and the process of changing it, increasing it or reducing it is clearly also stated in the employment letter, then it's not going to be easy for an employer to just say, well, let's just cut down this a little bit. There are procedures, there are structures that have to be set in place, and all this must be in the documentation. Sometimes I advise people, speak to a lawyer. It's even specialists, even lawyers themselves, sometimes you need to speak to a lawyer when you're taking a job, because there are too many things that employers hide under certain rules. You in the process of getting a job, you're not thinking clearly. It's like a doctor that is sick. You just want to be well, so you're taking whatever drug feels like you could numb the pain. You need another specialist to be able to tell you, okay, at this point, these are the terms you should take. You shouldn't agree to these terms. So yes, you can use legal means to ensure. And then the last for me, and I think the most important thing, is to upskill yourself. Make yourself always important. As long as you're important, nobody touches your salary except to increase it. But once you begin to lose your importance, you're either going to lose the job or agree to a lesser. While companies are buying robots, go and learn how to control the robots. Of course, learn how to run them. And then you can make yourself so important that if you leave the company, there's nobody else that knows how to run that robot. Then you can demand for a pay increase. That is also going to happen. So it's not just the employers. Smart employees will upskill, learn the automated systems. People write softwares now for companies that if they leave, they are leaving with the softwares. And no company wants you doing that. They don't want to go start the process of acquiring a new system entirely. So they want to keep you no matter what. You ask for a pay increase, you get it. This is also going to happen. So there are going to be effects, yes, of course. And there are certainly ways. And like I mentioned earlier, the major issue is to have laws that keep things standardized, some of these processes. So we don't have everybody saying whatever they want and doing what they want with the excuse of technology. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. But let me just ask you a follow-up question very quickly and brief.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's bring it home to the legal sector. I think most of us here are lawyers, young lawyers. What advice will you give to young lawyers to prepare ahead? Should I use what prepare, because it's already here with us anyway.
Upskill.
Yeah,
that's the only advice now. The time has gone where we just learn civil law, criminal law, and then we go to court. Yeah, you'd have a basic life. But we're getting to the point that just knowing the much that we know now may not help us a lot. In the next 10, 15 years, we're going to need lawyers that understand a lot more of technology. There will be so many cases coming up from the uses of technologies. So if you want to be in the system, if you want to be relevant as a lawyer at that time, well, let me not use the word relevance. There are other areas. Family lawyers are still very relevant, of course. All other criminal lawyers are still relevant, of course. But then if you want to fit into the new system, then you have to upskill yourself. These are things we've not been taught many of these things. I don't know whether the Nigerian law school, this thing has changed. It's still the old one with civil law, criminal law.
Yeah, civil law, criminal, and the like.
Evidence and all that. We need to start thinking towards technology. How do we handle tech-related disputes?
So can I put money in your phone?
Sorry.
Esther, please kindly unmute yourself. Please kindly mute yourself, rather. Please, thank you.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Just upskill, learn the new things, find out what technologies, find out what disputes are likely to come from these technologies, and place yourself, train yourself in preparation for the dispute, so that once these things begin to happen, you know what to do and what to say at any time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think we've learned a lot from you, from and other mentors, and even from the presentation of the mentees. Thank you so much. So I'll be calling on Mr. Obo Joseph. He's the co-founder of JIIPCC to actually give us for his round, for his closing comments, and to also give us his vote of thanks. Thank you, sir. Mr. Obo Joseph, please unmute yourself, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm driving, but I'll stop by now. Let me so that I can fully concentrate. But I want to say personally that I have personally enjoyed the presentations, including the views by the contributions of our mentors. It's a wake-up call for anybody who wants to play a very serious part in what the future holds and what the future offers. As a lawyer myself, it's a challenge for us to see how we can improve. We can improve on what we already know, improve on ourselves, and begin to take more risk in areas that appear to be new, because those areas are not going to be new forever. So we need to really prepare ourselves for what's actually coming. Thank you to our mentors, excellent contributions. I can almost say I was blessed by the presentations. Yeah, but the beauty of the presentation, or the proof that you value a presentation, lies in the action that you take after listening to some of these very powerful comments and contributions. So for me, I already have my take home to work on, basically. To our mentees, thank you very much. I know that researching virtually can be quite rigorous. Thank you for putting in your best. I also cannot leave here without thanking Hussein and our moderator. Our moderator has done a very great job. Thank you so very much. So I hope that as the program proceeds, let's see how we can share what we've learned on social media, on LinkedIn. You can tag your mentors. Just let's see how we can create a buzz around some of the very key comments that have been made here. Then also, the last thing I would add basically is that you might think you heard everything that was said on today's presentation. You will do yourself great good for you to go back and actually listen to what you think maybe you may have heard that you didn't properly hear. Thank you very much, everyone, once again. Juliana sends her regard. I'm sure she would, as time permits her, she would join us in due course within the program. Thank you so very much. I wish you guys a very, very wonderful weekend, and try and stay safe. If you're in Nigeria, stay safe. Anywhere you are, stay safe, basically. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye. Please, do have a lovely weekend.
Bye.